Welcome to Planet Collingwood here on Revolution Radio Studio A. My name is Monty Dean. I really need an intro, but at the moment it's me saying I really need an intro. A big thank you to Tony, Why Not, for the Y-Files for the last 2 hours. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio, click on the Patreon button and share what you can, which I'm sure is not as much as, say, 2 years ago when there was a different president in the United States. Inflation, 8.5. Allegedly. And, we are 100% listener supported. So thank you for all that do actually support the station. We're all 100% volunteers. So we support the station because we are the station. And when you're at the website, pop into the chat room and hang out with 100% loved and liked people. They're awesome. Also, there is merchandising. There are now mugs the mugs of certain shows, which reminds me I have to get in touch with the mug makers so I can share the Planet Collingwood logo, which is basically the Planet Hollywood logo with the word Collingwood on top of it. But then you too can have a cup of Planet Collingwood, and you can also buy in tandem the sneeze guard. So when I say something outrageous, you can spit your coffee from your mug onto your sneeze guard on your computer screen. So there you are. Yeah, all good. Now I have the usual suspects. I've been joined by Bruce MacDonald. How are you, Bruce?
Oh, I'm good, Monty. Thank you very much for asking.
Excellent. Raz has joined us as well.
Yeah, hi, what's up? I mean, I was just
Oh, geez, greeting. I haven't learnt that one before.
sorry. I was just practicing my where is Tiffany Dover in Spanish. I was about to say ¿Dónde es Tiffany Dover? But never mind.
I usually would say hello. And Cortek has joined us as well.
Oh, white fella.
Pale fell speak with forked tongue. Should learn to eat properly. Gentlemen, how are we all? It's been an interesting moment in time. I actually ate food today, and parts of my body's like, all right, everyone out, one exit. Like, oh, crap. Literally, crap. A big hello to Planet Flippy Cat. That's Flippy's code name for the chat room today. It's awesome. And right off the bat, there will be a Planet Collingwood after party where I'll be interviewing the former host of Global Synopsis, Pones. So Pony and I are going to go in for a bit of a chin wagon. Cortek, you are most welcome to join as well.
Oh, yeah, Pones.
So, yeah, I'm doing 4 hours for you people, all right? But, yeah, Pony has this urge. He's got code and wants to share because, he's banned from public transport now because he freaks people out. And another thing, go away, madman.
It's my stuff.
But we have to get through Planet Collingwood first. So, there we go. Now, let's see. In the world of entertainment, we lost a legend. I was going to do the whole intro as his voice, but I thought, no, people will think I'm doing a Bernie Sanders impression. But Gilbert Godfrey has passed away at the age of 67.
There's a guy with a really nasally voice.
Oh, you mean you don't know who I am?
And that was my wife's car!
Yeah. He's brilliant, irreverent, and crude, and just apparently a very lovely person, of course, and very funny. Razor Fist on Twitter shared just a section of those roasts that they've been doing, and Gilbert was roasting David Hasselhoff. I know about David Hasselhoff. He's really big in Germany. However, some of the numbers that come out of Germany, I'm not so sure. They could have been inflated, and it could even actually be a hoax. And, of course, Seth MacFarlane crying at the time. So, yeah, a comedy legend has moved on to the fourth D.
Heart troubles? Blood clots, maybe?
No, actually, he has had a heart condition for a while.
Complications. That's right in that pocket.
Yeah, but how do you know?
Well, you just got to assume so at this point, I think.
Well, no, because if you assume, it makes an ass out of you.
Yeah, but we kind of, by this stage, we kind of more or less know what's going on. And so really to give them the benefit of this stage makes us just seem a little bit too figurative.
Well, no. Well, yeah, so if he's been battling a heart condition for longer than a year, unless you are a doctor performing the autopsy, you really don't know. with this case, this instance.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that's come out recently. That's all the complications and stuff have gone up, and all the myocarditis and stuff has gone up.
Yeah. But they're mainly in healthy athletes. That's the thing of like, hang on, what's going on? Mind you, before this lockdown pandemic vaccine shenanigans, heart disease was one of the highest killers on the planet, especially in the West, strangely enough. And so if you look at it, all I'm saying it's not definitely vaccine, because he's 67 and he's a comedian, and who knows how he's partied for his blah, 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 blah. He's not a 22-year-old footballer that's been fit for most of his life.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, no, either will I, but I'm being pedantic, man, nitbit boy. It's like, oh, it's a vaccine. Like, really? And you can prove that. No, I can't. Okay. Why are you doing that voice? I sound nothing like that.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, yes, I understand. Well, but it's in healthy professional athletes. When was the last time you remember watching sports ball and someone clutched their chest and fell to the ground?
It hits people mostly that have complication first before people that are athletes. People that have the conditions to begin with.
Yeah, to be fair, clutching the chest and falling to the ground happens a lot in the amateur leagues because they're fat, overweight, smoke and drink all the time. So, that makes sense. But when you've got fit, healthy athletes, professionals earning millions of dollars, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Remember the soccer season, football. The round ball that you can kick and you can't touch with hands in Europe?
Sport ball.
Yeah, well, it's one of the sports ball, yeah. But they've got up to 500 problems. Even in tennis, in Miami last week, 17 or 18 players withdrew from the tournament?
Yeah, and now they're still alive.
Yes. Well, that makes sense that there should be questions, but a 67-year-old that has been battling heart problems is like, well, it could be just that.
Have we run past that whole thing yet, or can we question the coercion and all that stuff that went on? Or we're too knee deep in Ukraine now, are we?
Being old.
The last 2 years of.
Oh, right, you're changing subject. Yes. Yeah. Well, we can if you want. Well, actually, talking of sports ball, a local football show, I think it was on Sunday, they actually just asked questions, but it's mainstream television, and it's like, well, is it connected to the booster, or is it the vaccines? Well, that's what we're hearing about. I'm not sure. I'm not a anti-vaxxer. We're all shot up, but we'll see what happens. That video went viral. It's like, wow, they're talking what we talk about in the mainstream. Fascinating. And of course, the wind back happened at least 24 hours later. And there's another football show on Monday experts type thing. And it's like, oh, well, get the vaccine, you won't get COVID. I'm like, you're lying. 80%
how can you keep going with that story? How can anyone keep rolling that?
You don't get out much, do you? How can anyone? There are people that believe that Joe Biden is doing a brilliant job.
I'm pretty sure they haven't looked properly, those guys. Yeah, I skimmed the paper. Sure. Did you read? No, did you really read it and have a look? I looked at it.
No, there's 7 billion of us. It's not all one or the other. We're all unique, certain snowflakes.
Bruce.
Yeah, I was going to say the only people who think Biden is a great guy are the ones who didn't raise their hand to put the TV onto the World Series in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Those are his supporters now, man. I think he's lost. I think they're lying even about the 25%. I mean, I think it's across the board now. I think the media is the last one to be brought in, but I think in the inner Democratic circle and whoever their handlers are, and I don't care to know, the decision has been made to, Amendment 25, Joe Biden. It's coming. They might try to do it before the midterms. Okay, think about it. Put yourself in the position of a strategist. What could you do to re-energize liberals before the November elections and give them faith in the Democratic Party again? You find a peaceful exit for Joe Biden, and you pull the puppet strings until you get Hillary Clinton in there, because she's representative of the Democratic supporters that are still sort of rational, in the sense that I don't think Clinton in her political career and her public statements has gone as radically woke as other liberals. She's a little bit different than Pelosi and Schumer and people like that. She goes back to her husband, Bill Clinton, which was a saner and different day. So she, in many ways, she has a little bit of Republican on her as well, right? She hung around with the Bushes. They were good friends with George
She's
Bush.
got no honor.
Well, that's it. Now, interesting enough, just to add to that, Bill Maher basically got to the point a couple of shows ago, about a month and a half ago, of, well, because he can see the same thing. I was talking to someone where, look at the three top positions in the United States of leadership, and it's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Nancy Pelosi. It's like, there's your Three Stooges sketch. But Bill wants Obama to come back, and I'm like, I had to pause because I was in shock. I'm like, well, really?
Again?
Who wants
Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama.
Bill Maher?
Yeah, Bill Maher.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that because I'm 2 hours into his Joe Rogan podcast he was on yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And he's just Maher is one of those guys that can be unbelievably clever and insightful and equally stupid and opaque, and almost in the same 30-minute talking session. Like it's mind-boggling, It's some kind of savant thing going on there. I find that kind of intelligence, and it's not what I would call a foundationally strong intelligence. I find that to be a common feature. No offense, Monty, but a common feature among comics. Like if you really probe them, they don't know what they're talking about. Maher's one of the best. He's Cornell educated and everything, but there's gaps in his understanding of things that are just abominable.
Yeah, it's weird to it's weird when you listen to someone with such a great insight and then to find that they're not that knowledgeable on all fronts, kind of thing. It sometimes it feels like they're putting it on, or not.
Yeah, I think he's going to get taken out by the woke mob, and I think the way that they'll get Bill Maher is they'll smear him with his association and continued adoration of the Playboy years and Hugh Hefner, and he even has Hefner in his comedy. When you guys look at him, what do you see? I mean, Monty, you're a comic. I see a little bit of Johnny Carson, because Johnny Carson liked the smutty stuff too. But more than Johnny Carson, he's like Hugh Hefner as a comedian. He
kind
really
of looks like Hugh, yeah.
Yeah, he really and apparently he loved. Maybe he still does. He's in his 60s now, but he loved going to the Playboy Mansion. He was one of those urchins that was there every opportunity he got. And he never married, no kids. And so why am I saying all this? Because a 12-part series just aired called The Secrets of Playboy. And whatever they told people about the sexual revolution in the 70s, they're dosing people with the truth. That's what they're doing to the millennials. So it's like they're tearing down their own psyop, the sexual liberation psyop. And Bill Maher is vulnerable to getting caught in that crossfire, I think. He doesn't see it. He's like a doty old man in the road. But
he's still a stoner, so yeah.
What's that?
He's still a stoner.
Yeah, he's still a stoner, so the kids like him for that. And really more than I think what we still like about him is that he represents common sense, right? And I think he and Joe Rogan agreed on that point about both of them. They agreed that those people who like them in the public like them independent of their political perspective, but just how they can come in and level and common sense on certain topics.
Yeah, I mean it's a pet peeve that like he keeps sticking the boot into Trump. Not all the time, but when he can, and it's like, can you grow up? You're not 7. However, I can understand, like, he doesn't go after, but if he meets like a host or a guest on his show that is a Trump supporter, he goes, yeah, okay. Because he understands, like, you can hate Trump, but you don't have to hate people that like Trump. And also,
So
I mean, if you look at if you've known Trump since the 80s, not personally, it's like I've had conversations like, oh, Trump's got an ego. Really? The New York billionaire? It's just not billionaire. He's from New York.
yeah,
And so if you've been watching that crap since the 80s, and if he's rubbed you
he,
the wrong way from the very beginning, you've had 40 years of going, hey, this sandpaper's huge.
New
yeah,
Yorkers, New Yorkers rub people the wrong way, even if they're not billionaires, generally.
No,
sure.
thank you,
Have
Sith Lord.
either one of you been there?
Yes.
I've a friend who used to be from there.
I'm not sure how long I was there. I was only 3 months old, but yes, technically I was there.
Oh, okay. We're passing through.
Yeah, we're coming home. My parents were on working holiday in England, and they found out I was coming, and they couldn't fly for a while, so they waited till I was able to fly, and I was 3 months old. I've been in England for 3 months, and then flew back via America.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, New York. When I was there in 2001. I lived there for 6 months. I found it to be one of the most charged and energetic cities I've ever lived in, and had a really kind of cool vibe, or that's how I perceived it at the time. And I kind of liked it. I mean, it was in its heyday the greatest city in the Western world, I think. I mean, some people would say Paris, some people would say London, some people would say Rome, some people might say Barcelona. But I really think it was New York.
It was
Now
one of the
it's
big four. Yeah, because big four where, Paris, London, New York, and or another one. I don't know, Moscow or Milan or Rome or whatever. Tism, the band from Australia, put Springfield, which is a outer suburb here in Melbourne. So it's a good sticker. But yeah, I mean, the UN's there, and how many people live there in the size of a postage stamp? It's 11 million or something. It's hard when you hear a statement of like, oh, they're all like this. It's like, have you met 11 million people? I don't think so.
Yeah,
But it's very dense.
There is a very common New York personality template. It's a vibe you have to occupy to defend your space.
That's what it seemed like to me. Yeah.
Hey, I'm talking here. Yeah,
I'm walking. I'm talking.
Yeah. I'm trying to have my cup of coffee. Now, my cup is purple. I want my purple coffee with a donut. Yes, I'm familiar with the New York accent.
I heard for everyone in the Northern Hemisphere, there is a planetary alignment coming up in the next week. So for everyone in the Northern Hemisphere, you'd be lucky enough to have a look at that. Planets lining up.
And now, because Cortek actually told everyone in the Northern Hemisphere, there's going to be clouds.
I know, it's going to happen now.
Yeah, have you noticed, like, how many times here in Melbourne it's like, yeah, go outside and Jupiter and Mars and Venus are all going to line up and they look like a smiley face, and it's like, yeah, that's a lot of cloud there. Thanks, Earth.
Thanks for that again.
Gaia, you bitch.
If I may, for a moment, steer us back to Trump. Any objections to that?
Let's go. I think that would...
old.
I'm pretty sure that's where Pony's going to go too. But go on.
Okay. So look, I have a lot of friends who have, Trump shame now, or they've been sort of bullied into, saying Trump is this and Trump is that, and it's. Look, the guy cherry picks wives half his age at beauty contests. He's not a super great guy, and like as Monty is fond of saying, he's a New York real estate billionaire.
And he's still not Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, but look, no matter what you think of him personally, no matter what you think of the political alignments he's made on the right. And he's done a few shady things too. I think Jimmy Jean is right. I think that COVID bailout was one of the biggest I think it was a bigger shakedown than 2007. So Trump's not perfect, but I would remind people, like, if you're on the right or you claim to be woke and you're shit talking Trump, just realize that it's life and death now. Just get that through your head. It's life and death now. If they go the Hillary Clinton route, they will definitely provoke the situation to the point where there will be a nuclear attack on the United States. Realize, and I keep saying this, but I don't think it's sinking in. Not with you guys. I just intuitively, that the listeners I've never met, I don't think they're getting it. They are, this establishment, or this chapter of the establishment that runs this place we call the world, sectioned off into regions and fiefdoms. It's really Chinese warlords. That's really the way the world has always organized itself, around power centers, right? And a lot of them are transgenerational, and a lot of them are multidimensional. But they are more afraid of their own population now than any other military force or any other economic loss or public shaming in the world. Because the only people that can really hold them to account are their own people. And that moment seems to be coming. Yeah, I mean, you can hear the footsteps coming up the alleyway now, and it's nighttime, and you can't see the moon, and the street lights out, and you just hear these shoes walking up the alley. That's what their life is like now. And these are paranoid people, and psychotics are geared only to survive. Okay, that's really what the reptilian brain is: stay alive no matter what. Snake won't bite you unless you startle it. Then it'll bite you because it's trying to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's very like in Australia, 80% of the wildlife wants to kill you. 60% can. And usually when I was attacked by an animal, it's like, the first thing an Australian says is, well, what did you do? What did you leave them alone? It's a classic thing with animals. Now there's those rare moments when you're eaten by a bear. Let's be fair.
Yeah. So when I hear people shit talking Trump, I have one of two thoughts. Number one is they haven't thought it all through properly, or number two, they have and they're suicidal.
Yeah. Or they've still got TDS because of the way that the media bombarded it, and is gaslight the right term to use? That like they're just like, yeah. I can see why Trump rubs people the wrong way as a human being, but he's not 100% evil, because he's a racist. Why? Because he supported Israel and funded black universities for a decade, as two examples. Like, he's the worst racist ever.
How they got that to stick mind boggles me to this day.
Oh, it's the white supremacy thing. It's like, oh, have you denounced white supremacy? But he did 20 times.
This is why I think that crazy Christian cracker David Duke is a CIA asset. He's the one who stuck the white supremacist label on Trump with that stupid rally shortly after Trump got elected.
Yeah, now you can transfer it from people support Trump to, say, the band Metallica. Now, Metallica aren't white supremacist, but I'm sure a small faction of their fans are white supremacist. Now, do we blame the band? No.
It's a groovy announcement.
Because they just like to play music and everyone has fun, and they try not to be political, and they get everyone involved. But saying, oh, Trump's supported by KKK, like he has a choice. Well, he actually, remember Jordan Peterson was asked a question just before one of his events. There's a lot of neo-Nazis out the front. What do you think of them? And Jordan's just gone, I hate them.
And I would.
It's like, how Jordan Peterson's a white supremacist. Why? Because he hates white supremacists. Let me walk you through this.
All you got to do to those people who say that is, well, the KKK were voting in elections before Trump was a candidate. How does that change anything?
Well,
he didn't directly campaign to them. I don't buy any of this dog whistle stuff. The only thing I agree, Jimmy Jean and his crew on Into the Microcosm did a pretty good breakdown of Trump over 20 years, and he's a pretty sleazy guy. But he's not a kiddie diddler. He's not a ritualist, and he's not one of them. And when you begin a presidency by refusing to sign the Paris Accord and the Trans-Pacific Partnership, you're basically throwing up the middle finger to the globalists. So if that's what we're all about at the end of the day, you shouldn't be shit talking Trump. It's just people just don't think, or they get into tracked narratives in the alternative media, but they stop thinking.
Well, like, the whole thing of he's a racist because he's America first. I agree with that if you're in America, like not the racist, like America first if you're in the United States. If you're in Guam, Philippines, Australia, all the other bases, like, maybe not America first. I'm here, Australia first. And it doesn't mean you ignore everyone else. It's like, oh, we can't have Australia first, so we'll let the Chinese buy everything. Oh, what? But it's like, because he's America first, he's a racist. You do realize every race, creed, color, and 47 different genders all live in the United States. So it doesn't make sense.
And I will also concede that he does have questions to answer about endorsing the vaccine.
Yeah, but remember, we have mentioned it, but let's just ram it home. He's a businessman, and so all you have to do is just show the money, and he'll follow that. And so the vaccine, he was told, would work, and he helped it push through. And of course, it's generating a lot of money as well. Now, that's not the prime existence that he has, but he would see it's all about the deal and making sure, and he's a billionaire. Is he money hungry? Yeah. I don't know. But,
Yeah. Yeah, I miss the guy, man. It's going to be funny when he gets back into power, and he's coming back. I'm pretty sure now. Okay. Just because of the poor performance of the Democrats. Now, again, let's go back to nightmare situation number one, Hillary Clinton. Okay. And this is why it's such a compelling idea. Because, one of the things, we also talked about Bill Maher tonight, and one of the things that Bill Maher has become a little popular for on the right is he's become one of the most vocal critics of the left, even though he still maintains that he is part of the left.
The far left. Sorry, I'm just going to be nitpicky. He's attacking the far left, where he's still liberal and he's left, but elements of the left, the fringe extremists, have just got in a taxi and driven far away. And so he's actually attacking all that I nearly said far right, friggin' gaslighting, the far left extremists. He's having a go at that. And of course, everyone just thinks it's binary. It's either you're left or you're right. And so I have issues with people on conservatives who say I'm a conservative, but they attack the left. There are nice people in the left. I think most of us in the 90s would call ourselves left, but the goalposts have changed. And that's what I think that's what Bill's bringing up. It's like, well, I didn't change. You idiots did, and you just going batshit crazy.
Yeah. So, it's going to be really funny to watch Trump get back into power and to see that energy come back into America. But Joe Biden has almost been the death of the nation. My God, man, there is no public reputation left at all. The United States, and it's not hate, love, or anything. It's just like, what the heck is going on? What is, Rome has gone mad.
He is looking more and more tired every day.
Yes. So, it's going to be an interesting 2022. This will be the most interesting year that all of us have been in alternative media or speaking about these things or any form of public communication. This is a real 2-minute warning kind of year for those Australians. Well, the 2-minute warning is, the 2 minutes before the end of an NFL football game or the Super Bowl, right? So it's like the end of the game, And what I like about Trump is that he seems to be blocking something. And look, I get all the criticism of Trump, okay? But that global revilement for him, the unmasked contempt, the look on that was captured by journalists on Pope Francis's face during that visit. You cannot tell me that's all part of a psyop. They hate that guy. Something didn't go right in their plan. So I'm pushing back on the people who shit all over Trump, He's not the best guy in the world. He's not going to save anything, but he's going to give us a little more time to maybe think of a solution.
Well, yeah, we're all actually talking about the political game, because the only option was originally Hillary Clinton, and
no competition.
Well, it depends on your thinking and beliefs, because like, oh, Hillary's fine, like, yeah. The death counts up to what, they've had the controversy has been floating around the Clintons since the late 80s. The media in Arkansas coined the phrase Arkanside, because all these friends and work colleagues of the Clintons happened to kill themselves.
Yeah, there's a list so long you've got to go multiple pages to see it all.
Yeah, it's like, how history doesn't repeat, it rhymes, and people say that America's sort of replicating Rome. And I'm sure if we looked into the history of Rome, there's probably a couple of senators where like all their deniers and enemies kept falling off a horse. It's like, I'm sure that in history there's like 300 people that someone knew. Like, I don't know how they keep dying
over and over again.
Yeah, but the point is that I'm trying to put forward is you've got a false choice. It's like Hillary Clinton or Trump. Now, most people chose Trump because he was, in a way, the Republican version of Barack Obama, if that makes sense.
Well, it seemed he wasn't part of the same cabal that's back in now.
Well, he proved that when he became president. Obama proved that he still is part of that cabal. Now, and also then you had Joe Biden and Trump. And the way that Trump lost the election, in hindsight, I would say Trump lost the election. Biden didn't win, because Biden was stuck in his basement for most of it. How can you run a campaign from your basement and still win?
The whole thing was a sham.
Most things are now. It's like, I mean, the whole Ukraine-Russia thing, I don't know what's coming. I've seen two different reports of the same person getting captured, where the ABC here in Australia, their website, a Russian oligarch has been arrested or captured wearing a Ukraine uniform. But on RT, it's a Ukrainian opposition leader being detained, and it's the same photo.
Yeah, there's been so many accounts of different stuff like that. There was one account of using some footage from Armour, this milsim game, and it's pretty realistic. There was a fair distance. It was about a helicopter getting shot out of the sky, but it was all just video game footage.
Yeah. I mean,
that doesn't really add to the confidence of it being.
It's like, in this day and age, 2022, nothing works, but when it does, everyone has. Bruce, what type of phone do you have again? I've forgotten.
I have Apple iPhone 13 mini, Monty.
Yes, and it's basically got Blu-ray or 4K level camera, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So basically, we've got better camera captures in our handheld phones now than any time before. And where is all this footage from the Ukraine? You hardly see any of it.
Yeah,
and what? And yet, we'll talk about Shanghai a bit later. But there's footage of Shanghai coming out of what the Chinese government's doing there, and is that the precursor to lockdown 2?
What are they doing there?
We'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
Okay,
go ahead, Bruce.
So, I just want to throw a curveball into the conversation, a topic I want to get handled on Planet Collingwood, and we'll call this segue growing irony. And I mean, am I the only one who finds it, absolutely despicable and hypocritical and like a Monty Python sketch, like ridiculously absurd, that the United States and the Western Alliance are demanding war crimes investigations and war crimes trials for the Russians, while simultaneously in the same media celebrating the passing of Madeleine Albright? That is a female Pol Pot, by the way, if you haven't caught on. And Kissinger is the same way. These you see, the real psychopaths, Jimmy Savile, that's low level. The real ones get up to that level. You just go back and watch that if you want to see the eyes of a demon, go back and watch that 60 Minutes interview where she rationalizes the death through economic sanctions and medical sanctions on Iraq between the first and second incursions, she rationalizes the death of 500 children.
Right? Or 500,000 children or something.
Yeah, sorry, 500,000. Yeah, 500,000. Yeah, 500,000.
Yeah, it's like out of everyone from Team Dark, the only one that no one has celebrated, or they celebrated his death, which is, rare, like across the board rare. Remember when David Rockefeller finally died because the ninth heart that he put in there? It's like, no, that's it, I'm gone. It was no one actually said, oh, that, because when John McCain passed away, oh, there was all this gushing and all this horse shit. But when David Rockefeller died, even now, this is a joke. Welcome to 2022 in comedy. I have to preface this. This is a joke. The Dalai Lama didn't say this, but the Dalai Lama basically, F him. Like everyone, no one cared that everyone rejoiced that David Rockefeller died. That's how some of these psychopaths should be reviled and everything else like that. But then you have like John McCain or Jimmy Savile when he died, and then the truth came out. And then you can go back to the Sex Pistols in the late 70s where they said he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that whole there is that stupid irony of it's okay when we do it element, where Albright, oh, she did well for America. You killed how many brown kiddies? And then Russia, oh, we have to do war crimes. It's like, well, okay, how you see it on the internet. It's like, oh, Russia should be tried for war crimes. Awesome. Now do the United States.
Yeah,
how much depleted uranium is still in Iraq?
Oh God! Anybody who wants to look that up, who's listening, just Google depleted uranium. Fallujah was the city where they used the most of it, and there will be birth defects for generations. And, our old friend Israel and their persistent use of white phosphorus, and from everything I've heard from what I would consider to be legitimate sources, I watched a podcast today with a U.S. military guy who went on in his career to become a United Nations weapons inspector, give his take on what was going on in the Ukraine. And he described it as one of the most civil and lawful military operations he has seen since World War II, literally saying that Putin is going out of his way to maintain the Geneva Convention and the civility of war. Yes, there have been innocent people. When you're using ordnance that can blow up a radius of, 100 meters, so it's 200 meters, and these bombs are devastating in their effect. We're not talking about, an innocent person getting hit by a .22. When two kids are squirrel hunting. If the innocent, I would say it's more the fault of the Ukraine for insisting their citizens stay in those places and fight.
Did he talk about the French foreign officials?
Oh, hey, Raz. Thanks for finding me.
No. I was just listening about this individual you were listening to. There was this helicopter crash. And Putin did get those officials out. Is that true? Did he talk about that? Because if he wanted, he could have had those officials killed, but he actually maintained, the whole Geneva crap and got them out. That was really, really, really weird. You could have guaranteed the West would have never given a crap about a bunch of officials working, foreign officials working. They would have just killed them.
Yeah,
but I've been looking at the whole Ukraine thing, and I can tell you, it's been the most humane thing from the Russian part. And as far as the West, it's a real parody that they're asking for war crime investigation, because right now the West is winning the information warfare. The Russians are winning the ground war, but the West is winning the information warfare. The Russians are losing the information warfare big time.
Yeah, well, and I can give an example of that just very quickly. An example of that through history, where the Nazis, they firebombed Canterbury, and that was terrible, and they killed all these humans. Yeah, but the bit that people don't reference is, they did that to Dresden 3 days earlier and killed 30,000 people with exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So, captured
If it wasn't so
beautifully.
hypocritical, people would care a bit more, I think, about what's being said about war crimes. I mean, Bush and Blair should be behind bars if we're going by the rules, shouldn't they? Already.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
When where's
What,
that?
what was that? Christopher Hitchens, the British writer, openly called Henry Kissinger a war criminal in a book. And well, it was a biography, an unofficial and unauthorized biography of Kissinger and his life in the State Department, right? And just again, basically, Jimmy Savile gets to kill people en masse. That's what people like Albright and Kissinger are about. And so, yeah, I mean, it's the end of the American empire, and what we should be talking about is what kind of America we want to be living in after it. And I mean that as the continental space, from Alaska all the way down to Argentina, America.
Yep. That's the
Yeah.
way I see America. And you are an American. I mean, you were born in
I
Canada and you live in Costa Rica. But
Yeah.
to me, you're an American.
Yeah.
I'm one of those rare people. It's like I said, did they go to Africa, the country or the continent? Okay, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the United States, it's America. It was like the United States of America because Mexicans are American,
So
and yeah, go ahead.
can we have a woo moment?
A woo woo or just a woo?
A woo moment, like in the Cliff High sense, a woo woo moment.
Yeah, woo woo. Yeah, a woo sounds like a wrestling reference. Woo.
Yeah.
All right, I'm
So
gonna go. I'm gonna see what my cat wants again. Continue on.
oh, okay. Um,
Oh, sounds like a dog.
yeah, that's my dog. I don't think he wants me to tell these stories about what's going on the mountain. So I've had one of the weirdest weeks I've ever had on this mountain, and one of the weirdest weeks of my life. Just in terms of things happening. Okay, so for example, I've lived here 5.5 years now. Well,
Yeah.
5 years, 5 solid years on this mountain, 7 years in
Tell
Costa
us
Rica.
what happened. Tell us what happened.
So okay, I
Not
just
all,
I gotta
not the
I got
entire
I,
5 years, but condense it
I
down if you
gotta
could.
I gotta set the time context. Okay, so in all the time I've been living here, I've had no snake encounters.
Oh God.
Okay, like they're not common. They're not overly common. But my wife has had 5 snake encounters this week. Okay, now get this. Okay, there was an earthquake this morning, and everybody felt it but me. My wife and my son were going all on about it when I woke up. It was only a 4.0, but it seemed when my son was saying, no, it was bigger than a 4.0. It went for 3 or 4 seconds. So generally over here, all of the earthquakes are on the Pacific side. Okay, because remember, Central America straddles both the Atlantic. That's why they built the Panama Canal. Yeah, yada yada yada. This particular one was on the Caribbean side, but when I went to the USGS, the U.S. Geological Service, they said it was a 4.0, and then they said it happened 11 kilometers southwest of Bataan-Limon. That's basically where I live. And then they had the GPS coordinates up, so I piped them into Google Maps. It was 11.3 kilometers under the earth, about 1,400 meters from where I live.
You slept through it.
I slept through it, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
But I mean, that's just amazing. And in all the time I've been over here, we've never had an Atlantic side earthquake. They're always Pacific. Anyways, there's my woo moment. And 5 snakes. My wife practically needs Valium. She has a snake phobia, right?
And a flamethrower.
Yeah. So, but to put this into context, I mean, the last time we saw a snake was like over a year ago, and it was a baby snake. These are 5 like full adults, right? Everywhere she goes. There was one here I had to kill, 3 more at her mother's house, and then 1 walking on the road. I mean, I walk on the road all the time.
Do you think it's connected to the earthquake?
I saw a Sadhguru video one time where he said that snakes know beforehand when earthquakes are coming.
A lot of animals move because they know that stuff.
Yeah, well, snakes as
Yeah.
well, because they half of their body is on the ground and they sense vibration,
And
so
probably don't want to get crushed anywhere. They probably like to sleep most of the time under cracks and all that stuff.
yeah, animals have just this understanding of when nature does its thing. As an example, my old housemate, he survived Cyclone Tracy, which was Christmas 74 or 75, mid-70s. It wiped Darwin from the map, basically, because they don't get cyclones that big, and the houses were all made of plywood. Dennis was telling me that they're in the lounge room, hiding behind the couch, and the phone box was at the end of the street, came through the window, and then went out the roof. So
that's gnarly.
yeah, he had some experiences. However, in hindsight, he realized that all the birds had disappeared that day because the cyclone hit land at night, as well as all the indigenous people have buggered off as well. Hey, blood, storm coming. Yeah, let's go for a walk. So yeah, the natives. Actually, Bruce, any story about how the natives sensed the earthquake or didn't pop up on your radar?
I haven't spoken to anyone from the reserve today. I'll probably in the next 3 or 4 days. I'll ask them what's going on. That's pretty close for comfort, And yeah. So.
Well, we've had a couple of earthquakes here in Melbourne over the last 12 years. We don't get earthquakes. It's kind of rare that there's earthquakes in Australia because our land is allegedly 2 billion years old and it's not near the edge of a plate. And so usually if there's an earthquake, it's some just rock in a cave falling down. But the latest one, which was last year or the year before, it was about 200 kilometers from Melbourne. And it was during lockdown. So there's a lot of jokes of like, oh, so an earthquake can get into Melbourne, but I can't freaking leave.
But that was fairly substantial. And
it was around the tradie protests because there was some damage and everyone's like, oh, who are you going to get to fix that? Because, the tradies have been stood down.
It knocked a few bricks off. The only other one was Newcastle, and that was, fairly tame as well. But yeah, there's no.
Yeah. Well, when was the Newcastle earthquake? That's like early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or a bit earlier, late 80s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s, and because it is so rare, I think my head's telling me it was 26 people got killed, but it's extremely rare, and so when an earthquake hits in Australia, it's like, oh, hang on, it got that bad. Silverchair wrote a song about it. So
1989.
Okay, there you go. Now we have bushfires, floods every week, earthquakes very rarely.
You should only have earthquakes when you've got fault lines underneath you, shouldn't you?
Not necessarily. I mean, if somewhere in the crust is like through the aquifers, if enough water is wearing down a certain bit of rock and when I say a large chunk, I'm talking the size of Belgium. If that moves, it would resonate through the crust, and so the actual earth shakes. You usually get earthquakes on the plates because there's movement and there's friction.
Right. Yeah.
Like California is what the fourth largest economy, and you've got I think Sean David Morton says it's the third chakra and it's the center of entertainment. But as Toole says, just one earthquake and all California just falls into the sea, and all that's left is the serenity of Arizona Bay. I mean, the Superman movie, the first one, that's what it's about. Gene Hackman is trying to set off the earthquake because he bought all the land on the inner side of the fault line.
I'm pretty sure that was my first introduction to the San Andreas Fault.
Yeah, of course, it makes sense. It's like, how do you know this stuff? I watched Superman with Christopher Reeve. Oh, that's just a movie. Yeah, but it's based on fact. There is actually a place called America.
Yeah.
It's very from Alaska all the way down to Argentina. Both countries.
I never quite understood why DC made up cities like Gotham and Metropolis.
Gotham. Well, I can answer for Gotham.
Goes to Detroit. He's like in 8 Mile, Eminem's home. and it's all,
Yeah. Well, also, there's no like if if they say they went to Chicago and it's just a social wasteland and it's full of decadence and everything else like that, people from Chicago may get upset. But if you call it Gotham City, it's a false city. Now, the idea of Gotham City is if New York went wrong. And that's why it's full of crime and everything else like that. And Metropolis, I think, is supposed to be if New York went right. And interesting enough, in the DC universe, multiverse, Gotham City and Metropolis are right next to each other. They're only separated by a bay.
oh, okay. Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's like you ask questions of like there's so much crime in Gotham City and you have Superman who's space Jesus just across the way, and like which
I didn't know that was supposed to be situated across the bay from each other.
Well, I mean,
It's
it
weird
depends.
They didn't kind of cross-pollinate each other's. No, that sounds wrong, but you know.
Mind you, why would anyone in Metropolis commit a crime when you have the Man of Steel? He can fly. He can, hardly anything can hurt him. He's got heat vision. He can see through everything, and he's got super hearing. I'm going to commit a crime in Metropolis.
I'm catching a ferry.
Yeah, we need a story. That's the only reason that crime happens in Metropolis, because the writers need to write a story.
Yeah, that's just totally unbelievable that that news publication would even be in business with Superman around, because there'd be nothing to report on.
If I traveled into parallel universes and all that type of stuff, if I ended up in the DC world, I wouldn't move to Gotham. I'll definitely move to Metropolis and start a construction company. Because have you seen Superman fight people? Like any superhero fights, like
rebuilding company.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in insurance. I may have an office in Gotham, but I would never go there.
Yeah.
So, and then you got Central City. I guess that's in the Midwest. And yeah, they just make up sort of names so they can create anything they want type thing.
So I heard another thing that I found very interesting. I heard it today. The U.S. Federal Reserve counseled Joe Biden and Kamala Harris vehemently, like for weeks, not to apply sanctions to Russia because they would backfire and affect the United States. And they didn't. What do you guys make of that?
Well, it just proves they're idiots because, like, you kind of follow the Fed. Like the Feds don't do the. We know about money. You owe us $32 or $64 trillion.
Well, by calling them stupid, Monty, you're asserting that their intent was to do what was best to stop Russia.
No,
I don't think that was their intent. I think the point is becoming more and more clear that Biden's handlers are getting exactly what they want to get done. This is about
selling weapons.
Yeah, enemy's not Putin. Enemy's U.S. government right now.
Well, that's the other thing. Like it's been corrupted, and it's, dare I say, like the health system. A lot of health systems now, where it's half the people are trying their best, the other half are worn down, and it's because it's been run by accountants, and the system is like money, 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 money.
Yeah, I got a friend on the Poland border kind of thing, or on that border kind of thing, and he says all he just sees day after day is just planes coming down, unloading, taking off, planes coming down, unloading, taking off. It is just another robbery. Now to the military shareholders, though.
Yeah, and they no one talks about Yemen. Like, is it because they're brown and not white? We only care. I Stand With Ukraine. I Stand With Ukraine has raised what $10 billion or something. Some vast. So I'm mixing that up with Black Lives Matter, where Black Lives Matter has risen $11 billion. But it's missing. So that.
I thought that went into real estate property.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They've got. Yeah. We need to. Someone actually showed there's a house that's $25 million for sale, and it's like, okay, guys, we have to start protesting again. We need to raise some capital.
Yep.
But it's the weird thing about humanity is some of it's so shocking that it's so unbelievable. It's not shocking. It's unbelievable where that people don't believe it, and they believe there's still the fear of the television would never lie to you unless you spot the lie yourself. You know what I mean? It's not one or the other. It's oh no, this person's wonderful, but they did this. Oh, that's completely made up. Or what about this person? Oh, he's been corrupt all the time. And that's kind of the problem in the United States, where Fox News is lying and they do all this. It's like, well, you just described CNN. We, on the other hand, are on Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. This is Studio A, Planet Collingwood. We'll be back right after these messages. Stick around. Welcome to the second half of Planet Collingwood. We're coming out of the dressing rooms. Both teams are on the field. We've sucked down some oranges and we're ready to go. Unfortunately, we don't know what sport we're playing and no one's wearing matching uniforms. If you enjoyed the last hour, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and click on the Patreon button and donate what you can, for we are 100% listener supported. So all your donations help to keep the station running, Studio A and B, as well as just everything else like that. We do have merchandising at the website as well. As I said, the latest in Revolution Radio merchandising is the coffee mugs. I have to contact someone so I can send them a thing, because I would so love like a Planet Collingwood mug. It's got 2 holes in it. No, it'll just one at the top so you can pour liquid in, and then pop into the chat room and reading the chat. It's good that we have discourse. I have been joined by Bruce, Raz, and Cortek, and straight off the bat, my question is to the former and former. Raz and Cortek, I did have a comment on one of the YouTube videos. Do you have social media? Because I think they would like to reach out and say hi.
No.
Right.
Yes, like one Twitter account. That's it.
And that would be...
shit, I have to go look it up.
That's at shit. I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, give me a second. So it's as...
I needed the Planet Hollywood spit guard then just for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I'll give it to you. You write it on the description video, okay?
Yes. Well, I do follow you on Twitter. I have to say on Twitter for legal reasons. I do follow you. It's taken 2 weeks, but I just remembered to ask you, one of our favorite listeners, who I can't name right now, was asking if you have social media, because obviously they like the cut of your jib.
Well, that's very nice, isn't it?
Yes, it's a nautical term. Yeah. I have no idea what it means. I think it's a sail of some sort.
Well, my Twitter account has enough meme in it to awake anyone. So, yeah, I will help them greatly.
Okay. Well, that's the fun part. How did you free yourself from the confines of the prison planet that is called Earth and free humanity? Well, we went up a $1 trillion propaganda machine using memes. It was fantastic.
What do you guys think of something completely different? What do you guys think of, did you hear about Tesla making the mining plant out of solar panels?
I have not heard that.
With Block, or what's his name? Jack Dorsey or whatever?
No idea.
No? I think they want to use Tesla solar panels to make a Bitcoin mining plant.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of crypto. However, yeah. Well, for me, and if anyone bases their entire life on what I say, good luck with that. It's all made up. Like most money, it's just all made up. So, but there are people that they've connected it to climate change or something, because Bitcoin mining or crypto mining uses all this server power, and you've got to keep them cool, and so it creates electricity, and they put forward that carbon, which is not a pollution, but it is, and blah, blah, blah. Somehow cryptocurrency is bad for climate change.
Why don't they just do it underwater? There's your cooling. I'm not sure what you do with the fumes. Maybe it's for the best.
Well, I don't know.
The NFC stuff just seems... it still seems kind of ridiculous. It does seem like a publicity campaign for Ethereum.
Oh, who knows what's happening with Elon? Because sometimes he has moments, and other times. I mean, let's remember that he is surrounding the entire planet with satellites and trying to put computer chips into your brain. And I don't know. Is that the next Bond movie?
Yeah, I'm not into either of those ideas really, or changing fields that much. We already swim in this ectoplasm already.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I remember Vinny Eastwood promoting an EMP blocker or something like that, where you can put it near, so it pushes back the electromagnetic field, like Wi-Fi and all that type of stuff. And I wouldn't be, if we're going all this digital nano, dare I say, garage scientists, look into EMP generators.
I never have. They hard to make?
I don't know. That's why I said to the garage bank.
Are they an actual thing, or did you just put two words together there? Oh yeah, EMP generator. 5 easy steps on Instructables.
Yeah, it's like they found out that if you explode a nuclear bomb, there's an EMP. I'm sure there's a safer way of doing it.
You can in Instructables, which is a cool site for makers. You can make an electromagnetic pulse DIY portable EMP in 5 easy steps.
Yeah, well, I still find it amusing that Google, a search engine, is trying to build an automaton robot for security. Maybe this EMP thing may be a good idea.
Who did you say is doing that? Google.
Google.
Because Tesla, again, was threatening about making his human-like robot available as of next year.
Yeah, it's
iRobot stars.
Yeah,
gathered together.
Oh, and of course, humanity. Geez, you're special, aren't you? Sex robots. Apparently, a man that married his sex robot had to divorce her because he broke her and got another one.
I thought they would have made it much easier than that to do trade in.
Oh no, he's a very large man with muscles. So he may be East European. I don't want to cause dispersions, but the fact is he. Yes, from the great writings of Popeye.
Muscles.
Yeah, from the great country of spinach. Just near Portugal, or Porthole. See, what I'm doing there is I'm completely messing up the programs that from the alphabet agencies that listen to these shows, where it doesn't make sense. Like muscles, spinach.
This guy is an absolute idiot, especially we don't listen to him. Meanwhile, you're just disseminating top grade A information.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a couple of guys in the CIA who's like, no, I'll take Wednesday mornings. You go home. You'll be all right.
They talk about stuff like sex dolls. Can you tell the difference? That's the slogan for this site.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you should be able to tell the difference.
Well, yeah, like playing one of these shows and it's like, see, you should be laughing here. Johnny, Short Circuit. If you remember that movie, it was so popular they made a second one. Not as good, but that's a sequel thing. Short Circuit was that one of the robots is hit by lightning and it attains sentience.
Johnny Five.
And the way that actually, is it Steven Guttenberg? The way the character actually can prove it is that the robot had a sense of humor. And you can't program in a sense of humor. And I could point out a lot of left-wing comedians to prove that.
The Daily Mail also has an article, How to Make Your Own Sex Robot.
Yeah. Remember when you would go to a darkened room with loud music and flashing lights and drink alcohol and then stumble through the great, the ritual of trying to score with a lady?
When it was too loud to even hear anyone talk.
Yeah, you look gorgeous. Oh, come here. Yeah.
That's when the early practicing of the game of charades comes in handy.
Or charades for those in
Charades.
the yes,
Did
in the
anyone
1%
actually really call it that?
No, well, cicada. That's
Scone.
cool. It's gone. Scone. The English language. Now, remember, for those listening, if anyone mispronounces a word, it means they read it and they're a reader. So don't make fun of them. Just politely correct them.
That is how you win friends and influence people, isn't it?
Well, yeah, like Bill Hicks has got a whole routine. It's like, oh, looks like we've got ourselves a reader. What is wrong with you people? What's wrong with reading?
What you reading for?
Isn't that the stupidest question you've ever heard? What am I reading for?
Not what am I reading?
Yeah. What are you reading for? At
this point, it's so to become a waitress at a Waffle House.
Yeah. Why don't just turn off the tube? And to bring it into today, a lot of parents are using digital babysitters instead of dealing with their kids, just plonking them in front of the TV. Like Disney Plus, and that's working out well, isn't it, children? Or giving them an iPad, and
iPad and YouTube, unfettered access to YouTube.
Yeah. So who knows? And of course, the YouTube algorithm, where Stephen Crowder points it out, where they showed apparently there was a video of two guys and dildo or my penis. And so one guy that's bending over and he's got a sheet over him so they don't see it, but he has to figure out if his partner is inserting a dildo. Anyway,
it's
that's
like
allowed on.
Game.
Yeah, but if I said COVID vaccines, something else 8 months ago, I would have been banned.
Anything that in the long term works for population control is going to be promoted.
Well, it's... I'm kind of... I actually left the house on Saturday.
What?
Yes, a friend's birthday party. So I figured out the last time I left the house was his birthday party, so I spent a year at home. But everyone is over it, COVID and lockdowns, because we sort of skirted around the conversation. And we're all metalheads, and so there was that element of freedom, like, well, we can be metal, we can drink beer and listen to thrash metal and cavort, and everyone's wearing black. But we, if the conversation was sort of heading towards lockdowns or all that type of stuff, it's like, yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, because just ignore it because no one's going back. Oh, well, apart from Morrison's pledging billions of dollars to make our own little slice of Wuhan in South Australia or something like that.
Who knows? It's like we're just going to lose most of our international audience now, Cortek. The Australian election has been called, and whoop-ee. You've got Albanese, who's the head of Labor, which is for the workers and the left. He's a moron. And you've got the Liberals. The party seems to be okay, as I say, through clenched teeth. But
he's not
the person in but the person, I know, you ruined my bit.
Right.
But you've got Scott Morrison, who's a complete twang, twang in the highest order, a pathetic leader and doesn't do anything. And so, but the thing is, instead of like the whole, he's not Trump. Yeah, when you would talk to Biden, so why do you support Biden? Because he's not Trump. Okay, apart from that. Because he's not Trump. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good talk. Because of the whole lockdowns in the last 2 years, the major parties, a lot of people are fed up with them. And here in Australia, we've got minor parties. Like instead of in the United States, you've basically got two options: the puppet in the red tie or the puppet in the blue tie. And so
I'm sorry,
I think because of preferences, you need to know, like for the Australians who are going to vote, which is what, 6 of you that listen to the show, you'll have to please look into how preferences work, because you can put the major parties at the bottom, but at the top of your ballot, you have to need to find out where their preferences go, because it's a weird voting system. But I think a lot of you may see a major swing towards the major parties because everyone's gone, well, you're both crap.
Yeah, or, back to the whole thing about the whole idea of anyone swallowing that kind of pill again has been broken, and we just haven't realised it yet because we haven't got.
You can't say everyone, because there are people saying, no, Albo's going to save us.
Yeah, but
There are
there's
people
that
because
can't-
it's
there's people
because
just talk
as
on
you
it.
said, he's not ScoMo.
I think that's enough. No one wants to see his face. He does nothing. They didn't want him at his class reunion, so he sued everyone.
Yeah,
Great
how's that?
party.
The leader of Australia, ladies and gentlemen, he was not wanted at a school reunion, and so he sued them.
Yeah, it makes for great party.
Jeez. Classy.
Yeah,
Classy. Stay classy, said the.
See, that's what I like. There's a global narrative, but the local chapters have their own flavour. Like Justin Trudeau is very Canadian. Now, it's not a diss against Canada, but what I'm saying is he's unique for that section. Boris Johnson is unique for that, and Joe Biden's unique for that area. We've got Arden, the horse-faced lady in New Zealand. They're unique. And we've got Scott Morrison, and don't waste your time. He's just a knob. Don't research him because he failed upwards. We don't know how he got his job, but he's still there.
Yeah, we should just stop talking about them. What would be best is if they just fade into insignificance because we have too much to do. Because it's true.
Yeah, but just I'm seeing all this campaign stuff, and it's like
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Well, see, now I'm going to throw up.
They are the lowest of the low transitory power among us, and don't warrant being talked about.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what the populace is going to want. Now, this is now we're obviously thinking there's going to be free and open elections. It'll be interesting to see if the major parties get kicked in the nuts, and I'm hoping it's a hung parliament where they have to have independence. There's a new party called the Liberal Democrats. They're gaining traction because they seem to have common sense on their side, and instead of the corporate mentality of the big parties. That's here in Australia, so that's May 21st, whatever that, the third week of the we have it on a Saturday. Because your day off, you can go vote. It's like, can't we do this during the week? Yeah. But you get a sausage. Yeah, I can do that at home, mate. And also the Victoria has its own state election in November. But the big one I think we'll be telling is, and we have to get there first because it's only April, the midterms in the United States.
Yeah, 22nd of May.
Yeah. Because if the Democrats get demolished in the midterms, there's going to be a policy change because they don't want to lose power. It's not actually about governance. I mean, who thought of? Why would you, a politician and a party want to govern? It's all about popularity and making money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
or taking the
Planet
Collingwood, money to giving it to the corporate.
Planet Collingwood has evolved from a lull to just like a it's like four rangers meeting up at a farmhouse and sitting on a veranda and drinking stubbies of beer, and someone says a statement and everyone's like, that be true. Yeah. Bring. That was the Sesame Street reference, if anyone was playing at home.
Well, keep it quiet because it's a comedy show. You don't want a political show, right?
Only it's satire and you're making fun of the politics.
Well, but these days, reality is satire. What's the point of doing satire?
Yeah, I know. It's like, well, how many times you see a quote from someone, it's like, is this a parody account? Oh, they mean it.
If I was a comedian, I'd be asking for blood right now. I'd be like, come on, people, that's my job. Stop doing satire for me. And all the politicians are being comedian these days. Everyone is doing satire.
Yeah,
Speaking of satire, you guys have seen the Arab video of two men making fun of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I know of it.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. When I realized, I'm like, Arabs are doing this?
Yeah,
Saudis?
The Saudi Arabians are making fun of the American elite, and it's like, wow, clown world has just gone up a notch, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it funny?
Biden is talking. It's like, Kamala Harris is like, yeah, it's Russia. Yes, Africa. Now, Russia. Russia. Yeah, Putin. You better stop that.
Yeah, the only bit I've seen of it is like Joe Biden standing there with Kamala Harris, and he's talking, and I think he introduces her and then wanders off, and then she grabs him and pulls him back.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard to make fun of the American political elite.
Oh, it's a Saudi TV show.
Yeah, that's why everyone's freaking out. It's like, wait, the Saudis are having a go? This is the level we're at.
Yeah, because of the oil and the sanction and everything. They're playing tough. They're like, Saudis, Indians, we're gonna sanction you. Indians are like, okay, cool, bye. Saudis are like, bye.
Yeah. Let's just make more oil. Okay. It's a weird world, and I'm kind of proud to be here, but I'm getting tired of it. I think going into the woo-woo just a tad, I think it's my if everything that I see and experience is a mirror of my consciousness, and let's not nitpick about that, because that would spend 4 hours of like, it's not 100%, but things that can happen. Then you got randomness and free will. The way, like, the global narrative is just forcing me to like, well, I could just make my life better and ignore it and be successful. Bruce is a good example of that.
Anyway, a lot of people are saying everything is going banana nut butter these days. We've been waiting for that for years, people. This is actually a good sign. This is a great sign that all the so-called leaders who are supposed to be more intelligent and efficient than us are actually more incapable. This is actually a very, very good sign. So don't treat it like something bad. It's actually something very, very good.
Well, yeah, and like it has been mentioned once or twice weekly on Planet Collingwood that it's the collapse of Western civilization. But if you look at it, the corrupt system, like the corrupt system is collapsing. And if you look at all the other collapses through history, humans do quite well. I mean, there's some niggly bits like, say, mass death and chaos, but we're still here. And I think... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Monty. You were on a roll there.
I was just winding up there, which was... what?
Niggly bits.
Yeah, interrupting Golfing Boy. I've lost the flow now. Damn you. But I think if it does collapse, because most of us are nice and we have the internet, and everyone's addicted to the internet. So, there's going to be 10 days of darkness, or they're going to turn off the internet. Instant revolution. You turn the internet off, instant revolution. And people won't know what they're fighting for, apart from the internet's not on.
Doesn't take people long to catch up, really.
No. If you want to have some fun, and people, apart from yourself, use your Wi-Fi router, just change the password, and then you'll see that's a microcosm of what humanity will do.
Change your password or change your router name? Because I like to change my Wi-Fi router name to FBI listening van and stuff like that when I do have the Wi-Fi turned on.
That's cheeky. But Bruce, I think you've done it where, like, because you're not the only person that uses Wi-Fi. Everyone uses, but once you change the password and no one can use it, oh boy, you can really see the human condition kick in.
Yeah. What I was going to say earlier is I think that if we're honest with ourselves, this is really what we've asked for, right? Is to collapse the system, because we want change, but I don't think we fully realized for the change we want to happen. It's not just going to be wallpaper and some new floor trim. You know what I mean? It's just going to be wrecking ball, take the house down. You know?
Well, remember we actually sort of we talked about it earlier a couple of weeks ago, where we wanted transparency. But the way the universe works is like, okay, you can have transparency through hypocrisy. I'm like, well played. Okay. We're getting transparency, but we're seeing it through hypocrisy. Like, be careful what you ask for.
What are we asking for?
You're asking for, I tell you.
Bunch of fives. Smell the cheese.
God, gee, you've been hanging around primary school kids again.
Hey? Did you do that? Smell the cheese?
Yeah, well, just once, and then was beaten to a bloody pulp. That's not funny, man.
Sounds funny.
Yeah.
Too soon?
I'm 48. It's like, yeah, it's too soon. For those who don't know what smell the cheese is, you basically make a fist and put it on the palm of your other hand, and you say, smell the cheese, and someone leans in, and then you bop them in the nose. Yeah, kids are pricks.
I thought everyone did that.
Yeah, how's that working out for you? No one comes near me anymore.
Yeah, you can't do it more than once.
Don't go near that violent cheese, dude.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
it's still raining here for the majority of the time. We still got a lot of rain. I'm not sure what happened to summer.
Well, it's warm down here for some strange reason. It's like it's the middle of April, and we had a sample pack for a week of this is what autumn's supposed to be like, and bang, we're over 20 again.
That sounds like more of a summer than what we got.
Yeah, but you're slowly drowning, which is it a once in 100-year storm? Is it a once in 500 years? And it was like, did you ask the Aboriginals that? You had Tonga pop off, and it popped off so hardcore that it had particulates really high in the atmosphere, and of course that actually causes rain because I think Pony's going to mention this in the next show. You've got stuff up in the air, it collects moisture, and so it rains. So those wacky volcanoes, they really stuff up the climate change narrative.
Yeah, well, it makes you appreciate the sunny days a bit more, I guess.
Yeah, well, I realised living in Melbourne, it's you're always chasing the weather because in summer, it's too hot, I can't wait till it's cold. Then it gets cold and it's like, it's too cold, I can't wait for it's hot. And then that's how you live your life. I always thought Melbourne was the coldest place on earth. Then I heard of a country called Canada.
Or Alaska.
Melbourne. Come on.
Yes.
Guys, I gotta call it a night. It's been fun. I'm literally falling asleep.
Yeah, it's got to be late over there.
Well, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure. We'll see you at the comedy show, which will be broadcasting for you on Good Friday. So I think we may get a bit risque with some of the jokes.
I'll see if I can resurrect some of my material.
Well, just pray to the big bunny in the sky and ask for chocolate eggs. And he's gone. There we go. So Bruce MacDonald, ladies and gentlemen. Bruce MacDonald has left the green room. Oh, calm down, chaps.
No, I'm thinking. Last week we had Bart's comedy show. Or was it the previous week?
No, it's this week. So he had the call-in show last week.
Last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is moving so fast. Everything is so compressed. It's
Yeah. As I said, like I went to a friend's birthday party and I realized it's the last time I went out was a year ago to his birthday party, and like, where did 12 months go? Wow. And I mean, the name of this show last week was Routine is a Form of Time Travel. So that's what we talked about, where everything seems to be hitting breakneck speed. However, if you ignore it, everything's quite serene and lovely. It's kind of weird in a good way.
Someone once said, if we enter a cyberpunk dystopian era, the sky will still be blue. It won't exactly be, Blade Runner thing. Yeah. The sky will still be blue. The birds will still be chirping, but you'll be in a cyberpunk dystopian era.
Well, actually, yeah, I would say from that statement, people don't give the planet enough credit. Like, humanity's killing the planet. No, it's an irritant. When you get like foot fungus, that's kind of humanity. It's not cancer of the lung.
I'm still reading William Gibson's quadrilogy kind of thing, starting with Neuromancer. Every single, just from the first book, every single sci-fi book you can reference from this book, it's just so incredible. Nearly everyone, apart from Monster Shoot.
Is it a good read, Neuromancer?
It's incredible. It's so rich, but there's like 4 that go after that, and I'd never read the other 3, so I'm going through this again. But it's just so rich and full of ideas, and you can just see that's where they got the idea from the Matrix. Oh, that's where they got the idea for.
No. They got the idea for the Matrix in that book, and a book called The Third Eye. That's where they got the Matrix and Terminator from. The Third Eye.
Different references. But
Yeah.
You can just see these bits pop out, and you go, oh, that's that, and there's half a dozen.
If I'm not wrong, The Third Eye is actually written by a native woman, native, who was writing all kinds of spiritual things in it. So the Matrix and the Terminator is actually the same thing, but they just chopped it in two and made two different movies out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because if you watch the Matrix, you will see there's a lot of robots, trying to get humanity into it. So they just made two different movies out of it. Yeah. Who would have thought the Matrix was plagiarized?
It's just these kind of throwaway ideas that the great sci-fi writers have, that the other people write whole books on one of those ideas.
Is it the series you're talking about? Was that written before Philip K. Dick or after?
I don't know. It's pretty old.
William Gibson is quite the father figure of cyberpunk.
Yeah, it really is. And it's because it's all kind of set in these gritty laneways and this kind of dark Blade Runner city kind of surroundings, with all these terminology that's kind of just not explained but just used so you interpret it yourself, and it can be different from person to person, I suppose. Yeah. But it's super powerful like that because it makes you build a bigger picture of it.
And also, because Doctor Who started in 1963, there's a lot of ideas where, like, the kernel of ideas. Now, are they reading scientific magazines or reading science fiction themselves and borrowing? Possibly. But the idea of the Time Lords in their society, they have a great suppository for Time Lords when they die, and it's called the Matrix. And that was 1975 when that idea popped up. And it's interesting because the idea is that it's when a Time Lord after their 13th life, hopefully they're on the home planet Gallifrey, and just before they die, they upload all their memories and lives, and so they've got this vast knowledge of existence, and it's just called The Matrix. And then that film came out and ruined everything. But it's 25 years later.
The book I was talking about was from a lady named Sophia Stewart.
Yes, yeah. She was going to sue them, but I think 9/11 happened, and it's interesting.
What happened to that lady who claims that she owned the sun?
I never heard of that.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, I know. It's like, wait. She owns God.
I'm not sure she's still alive.
There should be like a line from Airplane with Hitler and everything slapping her, say, we're still trying to get Germany and Poland, so get in line, B.
Well, yeah, you own the sun. Yeah, slight irony. She died from skin cancer.
Right.
I know the law, she says.
Yeah, well, that doesn't. How are you going to back that up with accountability? Like
she's got it on paper.
The sun existed.
She went to the celestial body and registered her name in a local notary office. She's got it on paper.
Okay. Is she going to visit the property? I mean, it's like
very proud of herself.
How does she know that some other entity, the sun could be conscious and be its own entity? The sun was there before the planet was formed. I mean, the
very
arrogance.
Presumptuous, isn't it?
The spinach, I tell you. I thought of that earlier today, and it just makes me giggle. Instead of saying Spanish, it's spinach.
Kind of similar.
I
like when I'm eating Mexican food, I like to order a fajita. I asked for a fajita.
Spanish, spinach,
fajita. I asked for a fajita. Sorry, I mixed that up. That's all I'll say about food. Over.
Sorry, cat again. I have to teach her how to open a door. And then I thought, no, I don't. That will end badly.
Hungry? She wasn't making much noise. Just headbutting the door.
Oh, no, she just sits in the backyard and yells at existence for her, pay attention. And I go out and what? Oh, nothing. But it is around dinner time, and yeah. Apparently, yeah, she used to understand, I'm doing a show. Oh, okay. Now that means, like, yeah, whatever human, you're my bitch. So.
They're just so fluffy. You can't stay mad at them.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah. Unless she pisses on your bed 3 times in a week. Let's see. Let's test the boundaries there, my friend.
Yeah, that's not cool.
No, it's not. What are you trying to tell me? Because if you don't tell me, I'm going to slap you.
I've heard that physicists have resorted to using the word startling in their stories about almost being on the cusp of finding something.
Okay.
It's not really startling. I'm just saying that they're scraping the barrel.
I like when the science is settled. It's like, yeah, talk to the quantum physicist. I don't know what's happening. Like, who's the observer? How does this all work?
That's exactly the problem right there, the observer.
Yeah.
Because science is all about that which can be observed, therefore empirical data. And when we introduce quantum mechanics, you cannot observe it. So the moment you do science and you reach quantum mechanics, if you go into quantum mechanics, science goes out the window.
Yeah,
if you stay in science,
physics go out the window.
Then you can access quantum mechanics, and that's why in the last few decades we've felt this slow progress of science, and they stopped progressing hard science as we know it and started progressing social science instead. So that's why we go into the whole gender boom and the rest of it.
Well, it's like science can't prove spirituality exists. It's like, yeah, because that's how far back science is behind. Like, science doesn't have the equipment to do it. Still, that doesn't mean that spirituality doesn't exist. Well, science can't prove it. It's like, yeah.
And at the same time, they simply have to define what spirituality is before they prove its existence.
Well, yeah,
cannot.
Woo-woo and, or if they do it, they call it a religious experience, but the true scientists ignore religion.
Mysticism, religious experience, woo-woo, material, dog, juju.
Well, like homeopathy, if that's the right word.
Homeopathy,
that's been removed from insurance claims or the insurance business here in Australia. You can't use any of that for insurance or something like that because it can't be proven. And it's like, well, that guy put lemons on his feet for 3 days and he got better.
And Chinese have performed open heart surgery with acupuncture and no anesthetics. So,
Oh, I've seen footage now. It didn't look fake because it was so dodgy, but 3 people were chanting, and you could see a tumor slowly disappear. And if you know, how frequency and all that works, and free will, it's like, well, that's plausible. But most people go, oh, that's fake. It's like, why? Because I don't believe it. Well, that's your problem. To quote Yoda, that's your first mistake. That's why you fail.
I've seen a couple of things like that recently over the last couple of months, just kind of applauding the whole doing things with sound waves, whether it be breaking up gallstones or anything like that. But who's the guy who originally did that? Who was that? And he
Wilhelm someone?
Was it Wilhelm Reich?
Yeah,
or it was someone else.
Possibly.
But he kind of made this machine that was very quickly outlawed and scrubbed from history.
Yeah, argon or something like that. Yeah, and this is just it's rediscovering this technology. Because if you delve into the Anunnaki story, they were mining Africa for the gold, and they were using all their created slaves, blah blah blah. And there's all these stone circles which are about a foot high of this strange slate. I got this from Michael Tellinger. And there seems to be an element of sound technology of how they used it, because like the Romans would use gravity for the aqueduct. And so they could move water because of height. And so they would step down and, they could move water. There was some way of using sound. Even David Icke has talked about sound technology could actually, if you get the right vibration, even I think Nikola Tesla dabbled in this or even thought about it. Because we're in a universe of frequency by using sound. you can rejuvenate the cell and stop being sick and everything else. Like now, of course, that will ruin the economy because the medical system earns so much. Like how long they've been looking into cancer for over a century, and it's like, oh well,
Yeah, it was Wilhelm Reich was the guy who made the orgone accumulator, which was some kind of device to kind of make you sit inside these sound waves or something like that.
How about this? And it was funny because people started poo-pooing the idea straight away, and it's like, yeah, you're human. I shared a video on Twitter. My Twitter is @RealMontyDean. If you want to go into the Twitterverse, put on your armor and just think of comedy. Don't take it seriously. It's a battlefield, but it's Twitter. All right, Twitter. And yeah. So do you tweet? Do you twit? I'm a Twitter. Now, those fidget spinners, one of the most useless toy known to man.
I thought they were to keep people with learning difficulties focused.
Yeah, but what about the 98% of people that use fidget spinners?
That's just marketed to.
Yeah, it's a pointless exercise. However,
it's the kids' modern day Rubik's cube.
Yeah, basically it's a 3-pronged apparatus, basically, and so you hold it in the middle and you spin it, and it spins. What someone did, you put on 3 small magnets on the 3 extensions, and by getting 2 other stronger magnets, you can actually get perpetual motion. And in the 3-minute video, it shows because they're trying and it's moving and they're moving, and once you actually put the larger magnets in the right position, it just spins, which makes sense because the magnetic field is pushing the 3 magnets. And of course, someone said, yeah, but after a while, the magnets will demagnetize and it'll stop. Yeah, but after a while, what does that mean? 400 years?
I'd be happy with that kind of performance.
It's still generating. It still can be harvest the energy from that. And, if we invest in that, I'm sure there's ways of going, well, maybe we can get a new magnet or we can magnetize this lump of, you know what I mean? And that's been shown, like, I've said it a long time on Planet Collingwood, the way to save humanity, the idea is already out in the general public. Now, obviously, it would be nice to have a Palladian sound healing device. Maybe one day we will. However, to save humanity from all this shit show, technical term, the ideas are already out there. Say, like, changing petrochemical plastic to hemp plastic or abaca plastic, you know what I mean? As just an example. And however, people, we still have to ban straws. No, you ban petrochemical straws because they last for 5,000 years.
Yeah, you don't want to make things out of hemp, make it last forever. Your business model just goes down the toilet there. You said sell one pair of pants and they last the rest of your life, basically.
Oh yeah, you get buried in them. Yeah, like the FJ Holdens, like you get buried in your car. I bought this car, I was 18, I'm 76, and it worked out well. Now cars last 12 to 24 months, and if they get into an accident, they're designed to fall apart.
Crumple zones, they call them.
And all, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like if you watch a Formula One car get into a crash, they just like pooing into a fan. It goes everywhere. But that's what happens is it expels the energy. Now, you're traveling at 300 kilometers an hour. You kind of don't want to have a solid tank of a thing because stopping hurts. But when that happens, the plastic disintegrates, not disintegrates, but it falls apart into pieces and the energy is expelled. Mind you, you're down to 120 kilometers an hour and it still hurts.
No one's really plowed into a wall quite like Ayrton Senna did since.
Well, are you talking about his death? Because that's dark.
Okay, too soon?
Yeah. It's been decades. How dare you, sir? Anton was a very good driver. Yeah. The only motorsport I watch would be F1 because it's their strategy. But after a while, you realize you only can do 4 things when you're driving. Because if you get tires, blah blah blah, and there's governors and everything. It's amazing that they haven't brought the whole climate change thing on them because they use high octane fuel and there's all the rubber and everything else like that. But the girls are pretty when they're allowed out.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And they choose to. It's empowering women because they're beautiful women. There's a Calvin Klein ad. I think it's in New York, and a very large woman, and the comments underneath it, because they're doing that whole fat is beautiful, and it's like fat is healthy. No, it's not. Just let's just look at the angle of gravitational pull.
Is the latest scientific says kind of whole routine? Is it just another social experiment? Let's see if we can make them all fat now.
Yeah, everyone's fat, and so no, fat is beautiful. It's like but you'll die by 30. You'll get diabetes and lose a foot. Like the skeleton is designed to carry a certain amount of weight. Yeah. Like with the wars that my mum's going through, short version, she was in hospital for nearly 90 days. She lost 11 kilos. I have no idea what that is. Imperial, figure it out for yourself. You're listening to me on the internet. Go to our website. Anyway, you're a kilo man because we have the metric system, but we're on an American radio station. My point being, is she can feel the difference because she doesn't have that extra weight on her, and so the skeleton and the muscles aren't straining, and like
she feels it everywhere, kind of thing. More energy, everything.
Yeah,
it's a lot of work for the heart.
Yeah. Oh yes. When she's going in for heart surgery on the 22nd, she's having a valve replaced, so that was good because. There was a chance of open heart surgery, and geez, that's fun. They have to crack open the sternum, push open the rib cage, and then get to the heart. Do you think that sounds like trauma? Well, it is. Where was it? If you want to have a similar experience, is like, see, I'm trying to think Imperial, but if you like, when you have a backpack that's really heavy, like 50 kilo backpack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you carry something heavy, try and carry something for about 20 minutes and then put it down. And you notice you feel like you're floating.
Or a spring, yeah.
Yeah, because the body's like, because it's not carrying all that weight.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right.
Well, no, and that's sort of like, we have to fight and have to do that. Well, most of what we're talking about in the last 20 minutes is the controlling factor of corporations, where for whatever I don't know if Elon Musk is controlled opposition, but my question is, why is he the one allowed to do all that stuff with electric cars? Because if you notice, the electric car had like not a renaissance, but the idea popped up at the end of the 90s. But they say, no, we'll get that. And then
who killed the electric car?
Yeah. Very good documentary. And then when did the Tesla come out? 15 years later? And so I don't know if Elon was lucky or he was allowed to. I mean, the idea of an electric car has been around since 1902 or something like that.
We've also had the, water engine. It's been around since, the Model T and the American military, warships running on seawater engines, aren't they?
Allegedly, yes. Now, I mean, if that's true, all you have to really, now, I'm not a scientist. I can buy a white coat if you want to believe me. But I have no funding, and I'm just a comedian talking on a round table at, nearly 4 o'clock in the morning, New York time. The water is H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. And so now don't correct me because my point is I'm just thinking of the idea. Imagine if I had funding. You have an electrical charge to split the molecules. So you have oxygen and hydrogen. They both burn. So, there should be a way of using water as a fuel source. Now, if you take it a step further, if you use salt water, you just need to collect the salt. Like, you don't have to desalinate the salt, the water in the car. It'll be cheaper and easier to collect the salt in it. So, if you've got a saltwater car, just remember to empty your salt collector at the end of the day, so you don't have salt everywhere. Now, that's just me just having an idea. Imagine if I had funding and a white coat.
Yeah, it would be great. People running around, making diagrams.
Yeah. I can hit on the secretaries. Oh, it'll be wonderful. Now, but of course, there's no money in that, or they don't want to have money like that, because the planet is 70% salt water. So I don't think there'll be an energy crisis. if we had vehicles and stuff, turbines and everything running on salt water.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, what about rust and everything? Yeah, but humanity is smart enough to figure all that out.
Well, it's just weird. I mean, is it smart enough? With a blatant example of the technologies being there but not distributed.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't everyone up in arms that we don't have free water vehicles that don't need petrol?
Well, you've heard my Nikola Tesla joke, haven't you?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I'll say it again for the newcomers. I remember when Nikola Tesla, look, I invented free energy, and JP Morgan said, no, you haven't. And that's where we are today. Yeah. That was a cockatoo out the back. But that's the joke where it's like, I've created this free energy device, and the question was, how can I put a meter on it? And Nikola said, no, it's for free. I'm pulling your funding. Oh.
Yeah,
and that was what the 1910s or 1920s, whatever it was, or the early 20th century. And you've seen that meme of, imagine if the Rothschilds didn't win, or Tesla was allowed to do it, we would be living in the Jetson world in 1994.
I think we would. He was talking about trying to make floating cities. I'm not sure what he envisaged really, but he was talking of the possibility of floating cities to, I guess, I don't know, just make more space. I don't know what he thought about space. But...
Well, yeah, I mean, there's an element. Well, there's the air, as long as it's not polluting. There's not much pollution out there. But also, it would save the environment, like for fields and forests and all that type of thing. I just had a thought. The problem with Nikola Tesla is we don't know the stuff that has been hidden or stolen, hidden, or lost.
Yeah.
And like as you said, he was building. There's a story that he had cities in the air. Like, did he? I'm not having a go at him.
No,
but someone could have just said, "Oh, he had this," and it's just been a myth that turned into a story. But it wouldn't. But with the level of what Tesla was working on in his brain, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, maybe there's big things that he hadn't finished that he'd been working on his whole life. Who knows?
Yeah. And if he's tapped into he was tapping into his multidimensionality, or there was beings or entities helping him out. Most of the stuff that he was putting forward, like the general public will think he's a pioneer and he's advancing humanity, but most likely he's tapping into Atlantis, Lemuria, or really old history that has been lost to the eons, where Atlantis, did well for a while until they let the Aryans in from Mars, and that screwed everything.
From a really young age, Tesla was bombarded with visual images. They say that he was able to design and work through the design stages of faults in his mind, but actually kind of it was a problem from when he was really young. He got bombarded with these images and he didn't really know what to do with them or know how to control how they were coming in, but he just seems like I'm more of a receptor,
Yeah. His third eye could have been turned on, and he's getting all this stuff, and that could have been his agreement when he incarnated or reincarnated in that lifetime, and everything else like that. However, you can see how he died penniless in a hotel room, allegedly, because who knows if that was faked, his death or whatever. Because if you look into the L Ridge and all that type of stuff, where it was Einstein and Tesla, and that was the brain trust of the West at the time. It's been reported, so I haven't clarified it, but Einstein was asked by a journalist, what's it like to be the smartest man on the planet? And he said, I don't know, ask Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, I love that.
But I don't know, ask Nikola Tesla. Jewish German, that would have really upset Hitler.
Hard accent to do.
Yeah, well, I just do my standard old man, like Jackie Mason, Jewish people. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Who knows,
eh? So, yeah. Oh, and we did mention about Jordan Maxwell passed away because I do love, like, he would give hints, he would share information, but give hints to, like, do your own research. But he kept dropping great lines like, if you speak to the rabbis, they know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, I would love to sit down with an honest rabbi. Oh, you know, the true Jewish, or dare I say, the true Hebrew faith, and just like, okay, this is what we're talking about here. We don't make it public; people get upset. That whole book of Genesis, 3 chapters are missing. If we put them in, they make sense. The main character is a hero.
I think a lot of it doesn't rest on that kind of worldview of that Sephiroth,
Main
doesn't
character is a hero. Sorry, I was sorry. Blackadder reference just popped in my head. You know, when Hugh Laurie just says, "What book are you writing?" "Oh, it's a dictionary about English." "Oh, English is the heroine. That's weird."
Yes. And then he goes through all these words that Samuel didn't write down. Like, I'm combobulated and frustrated.
I do remember he said something like pericombobulations or something. You know, it's like we must prepare your velocitous extrameralization.
Yes. If dear listener, if you love smart-ass English humor, I would recommend all 4 seasons of Blackadder. It's written really well, great wit, sarcasm, and stupidity because of Baldrick. The interesting thing is the first season isn't that good, but the other 3 are fantastic. That's the end of Planet Collingwood. Coming up next is myself, Cortek, and Pones, and we're going to code ourselves out. We'll be back in 6 days and 22 hours. I love you from afar. See you soon. Have fun, and just, like, you know, be awesome and stuff. Hey. See ya.